In the book The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama, the first chapter, Introduction, provides an overview of the Dalai Lama's philosophy on how to achieve true happiness. The Dalai Lama believes that happiness is not something that can be achieved through material possessions or external circumstances, but rather through cultivating inner peace and contentment. He explains that the key to achieving this inner peace is to develop a sense of compassion and understanding for oneself and others. He also emphasizes the importance of cultivating a positive attitude and outlook on life, as well as developing a strong sense of self-discipline and self-awareness. The Dalai Lama also explains that true happiness is not something that can be achieved overnight, but rather something that must be cultivated over time through consistent effort and dedication. Ultimately, the Dalai Lama believes that true happiness is attainable through a combination of inner peace, compassion, and self-awareness. Chapter 2 of The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama focuses on the nature of suffering. The Dalai Lama explains that suffering is an unavoidable part of life, and that it is important to understand the nature of suffering in order to be able to cope with it. He explains that suffering can be divided into two categories, physical and mental. Physical suffering is caused by physical pain, while mental suffering is caused by mental anguish. He then goes on to explain that the root cause of suffering is ignorance, and that by understanding the nature of suffering, we can begin to reduce it. He also explains that suffering can be reduced by cultivating positive mental states such as compassion, love, and contentment. Finally, he explains that by understanding the nature of suffering, we can learn to accept it and use it as an opportunity to grow and develop. Chapter 3 of The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama focuses on the nature of happiness. The Dalai Lama explains that happiness is not something that can be found externally, but rather it is something that must be cultivated internally. He states that the key to happiness is to develop a sense of inner peace and contentment. He further explains that this inner peace and contentment can be achieved through cultivating a sense of compassion and understanding for oneself and others. He also emphasizes the importance of developing a sense of purpose and meaning in life, as well as cultivating a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the good things in life. Finally, the Dalai Lama explains that it is important to recognize that happiness is not a static state, but rather something that must be actively pursued and cultivated. In Chapter 4, the Dalai Lama emphasizes the importance of cultivating compassion in order to achieve true happiness. He explains that compassion is not just a feeling, but an action that requires effort and practice. He encourages readers to practice compassion by engaging in activities such as helping others, being kind to animals, and being mindful of the suffering of others. He also encourages readers to practice self-compassion, which involves being kind and understanding to oneself. He explains that self-compassion is essential for developing a healthy sense of self-esteem and for being able to extend compassion to others. He also emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of interconnectedness with all living beings, which can help to foster a sense of compassion. Finally, he explains that cultivating compassion can help to reduce feelings of anger and hatred, and can help to create a more peaceful and harmonious world. In Chapter 5, the Dalai Lama discusses the practice of contentment. He explains that contentment is a state of mind that can be cultivated through practice. He emphasizes that it is important to be content with what one has, rather than constantly striving for more. He also explains that contentment is not the same as complacency, and that it is possible to be content while still striving to improve one's life. He further explains that contentment can be cultivated through the practice of gratitude, by recognizing and appreciating the good things in life. He also suggests that it is important to be mindful of one's thoughts and feelings, and to be aware of the tendency to compare oneself to others. He explains that this can lead to feelings of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. Finally, he emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of inner peace and joy, which can be done through meditation and other spiritual practices. Chapter 6 focuses on the importance of self-discipline in achieving happiness. The Dalai Lama explains that self-discipline is essential for developing inner strength and resilience. He emphasizes that it is important to be aware of our own weaknesses and to strive to overcome them. He also explains that self-discipline is necessary for developing a sense of responsibility and for making wise decisions. He further explains that self-discipline is essential for developing a sense of inner peace and contentment. He also explains that self-discipline is necessary for developing a sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. Finally, he explains that self-discipline is necessary for developing a sense of purpose and direction in life. In Chapter 7, the Dalai Lama explains how to transform suffering through the practice of meditation. He begins by discussing the importance of understanding the nature of suffering and how it can be used as a tool for transformation. He then explains the Four Noble Truths, which are the foundation of Buddhist teachings on suffering. He explains that the first truth is that suffering exists, the second is that suffering has a cause, the third is that suffering can be ended, and the fourth is that there is a path to the end of suffering. He then explains the threefold practice of meditation, which includes mindfulness, concentration, and insight. He explains that mindfulness is the practice of being aware of the present moment, concentration is the practice of focusing on one object or thought, and insight is the practice of understanding the true nature of reality. He then explains the importance of cultivating compassion and loving kindness in order to transform suffering. He concludes by discussing the importance of cultivating a sense of equanimity and non-attachment in order to be able to accept suffering without becoming overwhelmed by it. Chapter 8 focuses on the practice of generating positive states of mind. The Dalai Lama explains that the key to happiness is to cultivate positive mental states such as love, compassion, patience, tolerance, and forgiveness. He emphasizes that these positive mental states are not just for our own benefit, but also for the benefit of others. He explains that when we cultivate these positive mental states, we become more compassionate and understanding of others, and this in turn leads to greater harmony and peace in the world. The Dalai Lama also explains that it is important to practice these positive mental states on a regular basis in order to make them a part of our daily lives. He suggests that we can do this by engaging in activities such as meditation, prayer, and contemplation. He also suggests that we can cultivate positive mental states by engaging in activities such as reading, listening to music, and engaging in meaningful conversations with others. Finally, the Dalai Lama emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the good things in our lives. Chapter 9 focuses on the importance of developing universal responsibility. The Dalai Lama explains that this is a key factor in achieving true happiness. He states that it is important to recognize that all human beings are interconnected and that our actions have an effect on others. He encourages us to think of others as part of our extended family and to take responsibility for their well-being. He also emphasizes the importance of developing a sense of compassion and understanding for all living beings. He explains that this will help us to develop a sense of responsibility for the world around us. He also encourages us to take action to help those in need and to work towards creating a more peaceful and just world. Finally, he emphasizes the importance of developing a sense of inner peace and contentment, which will help us to be more compassionate and understanding towards others. Chapter 10 focuses on the practice of meditation. The Dalai Lama explains that meditation is a way to train the mind to become more focused and aware. He states that it is important to practice meditation regularly in order to gain the most benefit. He also explains that meditation can help to reduce stress and anxiety, as well as increase one's sense of well-being. He further explains that meditation can help to cultivate a sense of inner peace and contentment. He also discusses the importance of having a positive attitude and outlook when practicing meditation. He emphasizes that it is important to be patient and consistent in order to gain the most benefit from meditation. He also explains that it is important to be mindful of one's thoughts and feelings during meditation. Finally, he explains that meditation can help to cultivate a sense of compassion and understanding for oneself and others. Chapter 11 focuses on the practice of death and dying. The Dalai Lama explains that death is a natural part of life and that it should be accepted as such. He encourages us to think about death and to prepare for it, as it is inevitable. He suggests that we should use our time wisely and make the most of our lives, as death can come at any time. He also encourages us to think about our own mortality and to reflect on our lives and our actions. He explains that death can be a source of inspiration and can help us to appreciate life more. He also encourages us to think about how we can help others who are facing death, and to be compassionate and understanding. He explains that death can be a source of comfort and peace, and that it can be a time of reflection and growth. He encourages us to use death as an opportunity to learn and to grow, and to be grateful for the time we have been given. Chapter 12 of The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama is titled The Art of Living, and it is a conclusion to the book. In this chapter, the Dalai Lama emphasizes the importance of living a meaningful life and how to do so. He explains that the key to a meaningful life is to cultivate a sense of inner peace and contentment, and to develop a strong sense of compassion and altruism. He also encourages readers to practice mindfulness and to be aware of their thoughts and feelings. He emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of inner strength and resilience, and of developing a sense of purpose and direction in life. Finally, he encourages readers to take responsibility for their own happiness and to strive to make a positive contribution to the world. In conclusion, The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama is a powerful and inspiring book that encourages readers to cultivate inner peace, compassion, and resilience in order to live a meaningful and fulfilling life.